All right, let's talk about the future of digital wealth. But look, this isn't going to be about all the hype. This is about really understanding the massive shift that's happening right now in crypto and digital assets. And more importantly, what it actually means for you. You know, while everyone's glued to the headlines and the crazy daily news cycle, something much, much bigger is happening right under our noses. The very nature of money as we know it is quietly being rewritten. Banks are changing their tune, big-time investors are moving their pieces on the board. Yeah, a huge shift is already underway. And let's get one thing straight right off the bat. If you've heard that crypto is dead or that the ship has sailed, well, you've been listening to the wrong people. That whole narrative about failure, it's loud, for sure, but it is completely missing the point. What's really going on is a reloading phase. All that speculative frenzy from before, that's being replaced by something way more substantial. The people who are actually building this stuff, the serious long-term investors, and yeah, even the major financial institutions, they're all watching very, very closely. So that brings us to the big question we're tackling here, right? Are we looking at the setup for the biggest comeback in crypto's history? Or is this just another trap designed to wipe people out? Let's break it all down. So to really get what's happening now, we kind of have to look back. See, there's a pattern. After every single major crypto crash in history, there's been this powerful comeback, always fueled by new innovation and fresh investment. And it really looks like we're seeing that pattern start all over again. But this time, a few things are very different. This time around, the potential comeback is being powered by three huge drivers. First, you've got the big, big money, the institutions, finally stepping into the ring. Second, there's this concept called tokenization that could literally change everything. And third, the technology itself is, well, it's finally growing up. So first up, the big money. I'm not talking about small players. We're talking about giants like BlackRock and Fidelity launching Bitcoin ETFs, making it super easy for everyday investors to get access. And here's the key. They are not just speculating. They are building the actual plumbing, the financial infrastructure of the future, a way to make transactions faster, cheaper, and global. And you know the rule. Where infrastructure gets built, capital always follows. Now that's second driver. It's a concept called tokenization. I know, it sounds a little technical, but trust me, this is a potential game changer. The idea is actually pretty simple. It's about turning real-world assets, like a piece of real estate, some fine art, or even a company's stock, into a digital token on a blockchain. So what does that actually unlock for you? Well, imagine owning a small piece of a skyscraper in New York, or investing in global stocks without needing a traditional broker, or trading assets across borders instantly with almost no barriers. See? This isn't just a small improvement. It's a complete reimagining of what ownership can be. And the third driver is that the technology is finally starting to deliver on its promises. Remember all the old criticisms of crypto? That it was too slow, way too expensive, and just too complicated to use? Well, those problems are actively being solved by new networks and major upgrades. And as the user experience gets better, the potential for millions of new people to join in just grows exponentially. Okay, so we've talked about all the potential, but let's be completely real for a second. This is not a guaranteed path to wealth, not by a long shot. And this is exactly where most people get burned, because they focus only on the upside and they completely ignore the very, very real risks. The dangers that trip up most new investors really boil down to these three things: the market's extreme, stomach-churning volatility, the constant noise from hype and outright scams, and probably the most important one, the trap of making emotional decisions. This right here, this is the cycle that destroys wealth. It goes like this. Prices start to soar and greed kicks in. Everybody gets excited and buys in, usually way too late at the top. Then the market inevitably turns and fear takes over. People panic and they sell at the bottom, locking in their losses. This emotional roller coaster is the single biggest enemy of a successful investor, period. Look, success in this space isn't about perfectly timing the market or reacting to every single headline. The real, sustainable gains, they come from patience and from having a disciplined strategy. So, knowing the risks, how do savvy investors actually handle this? Instead of guessing, we can learn right from their playbook. So let's get into the actual strategy that they're using right now. It really comes down to 4 core principles. First, they focus on quality projects, not just chasing every new shiny coin. Second, they invest consistently over time instead of throwing all their money in at once. Third, they hold for the long term, fully prepared to ride out the volatility. And fourth, they always keep some cash ready on the sidelines to act on new opportunities. Okay, so that's the theory. Sounds good, right? But let's make this really practical. If you were starting with just $100 today, how could you apply these principles in a smart, manageable way? Well, a simple approach is to allocate the majority, say 70%, to foundational assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Think of them as the blue chips of this world. The remaining 30% could then go to some higher risk but also potentially higher reward emerging projects. This way, you balance stability with the potential for growth. So, the action plan is simple. First, you build that solid foundation. Then, you carefully add that small portion to some higher risk projects. The real key is to stay consistent, maybe by investing a small amount regularly, and to never, ever stop learning. In this space, your knowledge is your most valuable asset by far. Okay, let's zoom out for the final big picture takeaway here. Because this isn't just about a new type of asset. This is about a fundamental shift in our entire financial world. The future of money isn't just about it being digital. I mean, we've had that for years. It's about it being programmable. This means money can be embedded with rules and its own logic, creating automated, transparent, and incredibly efficient financial systems. That is the real revolution. And this brings us to the core mindset you need. This space is more than just an opportunity. It's a test. It's a test of your patience during the downturns, a test of your discipline to stick to your strategy, and a test of your commitment to actually understand what you're investing in. The future of finance isn't some distant concept. It's being architected right now, today. Some people will chase the hype and get burned, while others will learn, adapt, and build real wealth. The only question left is how will you choose to position yourself?